Epic sages, your home for adventure. Crafting worlds where your story's the center. Gear and tools for the brave and the bold. Your journey begins as the tale unfolds.
Step inside where the legends begin. Maps, dice, and stories, the magic within. Adventure in mind, we're here by your side. At Epic Sages, where heroes collide. Every campaign, every turn, every fight, we give you the tools, you shape the night. Epic Sages is where you find satisfaction. With adventure in mind and your own passion. We control the board, you control the action. Epic Sages, where legends find traction. From online to in-store, we've got what you seek. Gear for your quest, world so unique. Your heroes rise, we light the way. Epic Sages, your guide through the fray. No matter the path, no matter the game, your story is yours, we fuel the flame. Epic Sages is where you find satisfaction. With adventure in mind and your own passion. We control the board, you control the action. Epic Sages, where legends find traction. From your first roll to battles well fought, we give you the gear for the stories you've sought. At Epic Sages, the tools are designed with passion and care and adventure in mind. Your world, your rules, your epic tale. With Epic Sages, you will never fail. Epic Sages is where you find satisfaction. With adventure in mind and your own passion. We control the board, you control the action. Epic Sages, where legends find traction. We light the way, you shape the venture. Epic Sages, your home for adventure. From online to in-store, we've got what you seek. Gear for your quest, world so unique. Your heroes rise, we light the way. Epic Sages, your guide through the fray. No matter the path, no matter the game, your story is yours, we fuel the flame. Epic Sages is where you find satisfaction. With adventure in mind and your own passion. We control the board, you control the action. Epic Sages, where legends find traction. We light the way, you shape the venture. Epic Sages, your home for adventure.
Hello. Welcome to tonight's episode 13 of season 5. We're talking gold is useless, dealing with low economic settings in the stories we tell. And in this case, we are joined by 3 wonderful star guests and younger, wahaha. And myself here. So we're gonna get started by introducing our 3 guests, so they can tell you all about themselves, where to find them, all that fun stuff. And I'm just gonna go in the order that I see you. So Carol, would you please introduce yourself? Tell people who are, what you do, where they can find you, all that fun stuff.
Well, first and foremost, thank you, Rook, for having me. And I am Carol, and I am a narrative coach, consultant, and speaker. And I love working with people who find themselves in a challenging life or a challenging relationship, whether in work or at home, and I help them to shift their perspectives. And I do that locally and I do that globally. I'm located in a beautiful Metro Vancouver, British Columbia, and you can find me on my website at www.carolmetzmurray.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn at Carol Metz Murray.
Fantastic. Easy to find you, just your name. That always makes my life easy when typing out these things later, so I appreciate you. Sounds like you're gonna dig tonight's topic then, so I'm excited for that. Next up on my screen, I got our faceless guest, because unfortunately we're having camera issues, but that's okay. Eve, tell us who you are, what you do, all the fun things.
Hi. Okay, so first of all, I'm excited to be here. It's actually pretty late for me where I am. It's 10 o'clock p.m. So
Yes,
I'm in
you're
Toronto.
you're our East Coaster today.
Yes, yes. So it's 10 o'clock. I'm just winding down, but I do very fulfilling work. And I'm just so happy to kind of just be going through this journey and really um working through learning more about myself, but at the same time serving others. So I am a storytelling coach, and yeah, so voice alchemy, and essentially what it is that I help people really speak from their wholeness, from who they are, not for the wounds or the subconscious programming that we are, and like what we've allowed influenced us for a long time, and really taking that seat of saying I'm not the paradigm that I was kind of formed by my environment. I'm still a co-creator of that environment, and really finding that voice where that comes from is the voice that creates. It's the voice that manifests. It's the voice that sends the prayers into reality. And so I do that by helping people tell their story authentically, because that's how we call out our tribe. Whatever it is that we're looking for, we have that ability to do it as long as we speak from a prayer. And I help people guide them to get their essence to do that.
Fantastic. And where can people find you?
Instagram is somewhere where I continue to tell the story. And you can find me at Instagram. My Instagram name is Akumayase. Um, and it's actually my soul name. So it is something that like the archetype that I channel when I host my retreats. She's a bearer of light across waters, and she brings in essentially the song of uh, the creation of the worlds into present. So that's something that she gets channeled whenever uh, it needs to be.
Fantastic. Again, it sounds like you're going to fit right in with today's topic. So, again, I am excited. And last but not least, on our very bottom of the screen there, Amara. Hello. Who are you? What you do? All the fun stuff.
Hey guys, I'm Amira and I'm coming to you
Sorry,
from the
goofed it up.
future,
My bad.
I guess. From Sydney, Australia. So it's like 20 past 12 in the day for us on Saturday. What are you guys on Friday night? Yeah, so
Friday.
I'm coming Saturday. Um and just love Canada. Canada was so fun when I came there. Yeah. So what I do, my business name is Your Money Habit. So what I do is I help smaller, in particular, I kind of like to help micro businesses who are wanting to grow. But that kind of came from helping people feel better about money. I kind of like to say, let's become friends with money because it's terrifying. It can be very scary in business, and so I like to take that topic that can be, I guess, confusing, scary, and make it much more interesting and fun. And so I am a little excited about what the topic is today to see where that kind of goes. And I guess people can find me on many places. So in Instagram, so it's just Your Money Habit. My website is Your Money Habit, but it's .com.au. And in Facebook and LinkedIn, it's Amira MacCue, and there is no other Amira MacCues. I'm it. Not many people have such a strange combination of names.
All right. Well, that makes
So
it
yeah,
easy to find
essentially,
you.
it's about making people feel better. And I've got this fairy behind me because one of my clients, I do bookkeeping work for her. She said after I helped her get her e-commerce stuff all sorted out, she started calling me the money fairy. So I just kind of went with it. I thought it's like a non-threatening way to talk to people about money.
It's
Love
really
that.
funny. You're the second money fairy we've met. So little. Yeah, I know, right? Why is that a thing? I like that though. It's cutesy. But
It's a sign.
right. They surround us when we need them. So again, the universe has spoken and giving you guys the best possible topic for all three of you in various ways. So I'm super excited to see how this goes down. With as we're going through, just a quick ground rule for you guys. Feel free to talk to each other as we're having this conversation. I'm going to address questions directly to you, but that should not stop any of you guys from talking to each other if you have wonderful things to add on or questions if you have, because this is a great conversation for everyone. So don't be afraid to butt in. You're not really butting in. So let's kick it off. And first and foremost, we always like to start with asking our star guests, like, what comes to mind when I say the title name? So when I tell you gold is useless, what is the first image that pops in your head? Starting this time with Amara. Amira, I'm gonna mess it up all night, I swear.
Yeah, it's Amira.
Amira, I will get it. I will get it. Just give me like 3 more
It's
tries.
a bit like mirror.
Right, yeah,
Like
Amira, got
like
it.
mirror. Okay, we're just looking in the mirror. So what do I think of? Yeah, there you go. See? Yeah. What do I think of? Gold is useless. Well, let's be honest. If you think about it, like with your health, gold is useless. It's not going to actually make you better. If you can't buy your way out of it. You can't buy more time. Money can't buy you better relationships or anything. So I guess and gold is only as useful as we believe it to be. So
Mm-hmm.
that's my thoughts on gold being useless.
Okay,
And I
cool.
guess I don't know what I know about games, but it, how much is the gold going to get you? It's only going to buy you things, but you still need to get all the other stuff done, right?
Gotcha. All right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yet I would look at gold as an adventure, as a journey. And perhaps that's because I have lived in an area in the far north where once upon a time there was a gold rush. And when I lived there, I experienced what it must have been like for people trekking thousands of miles across mountain ranges to look for gold. And not necessarily would they find gold, but I also had that interesting experience of actually mining for gold. And the gold we see is really different than the gold that comes out of the ground. And so, in essence, for me, when we think about gold, or I think about gold, yeah, it's a journey and it's an adventure, and it makes me curious as to how it shapes and forms and where it's found. And so yeah, for me it's an adventure and a curiosity.
Okay, I like that. Hey, thanks, Roman. I appreciate you. Sorry, someone's chatting on a thing. They says they're a big fan. Always love that. So, let's see here. With that, Eve, what about you? What is your first impression when you hear the words "gold is useless"?
Well, compared to like your health, your existence, right? Um, a lot of people are in chase for the gold, whatever the gold means for them, and it's nothing against your vitality if you don't like pay attention to that first, because otherwise it's useless.
Okay, interesting. Younger, what about you? When I say these words, does it just make you angry, especially in context of D&D silliness?
Uh, no. So outside of just D&D, my thing is thinking along the lines of like if there is a famine, for instance, right? Or if there's an economic collapse in your country, right? And you just have so much money, that the money's worthless. Um, that people are like, no, I don't need your gold. Gold's not going to feed my kid. Gold's not going to water my crops. You know, like we don't need that. Or gold, that might actually be something that's negative. You just put a target on your back for somebody who has bullets. You know, so That's what I think of is just like, oh, need to eat, can't eat the gold. You're better off just leaving it behind. It's too heavy. You can't carry it across the desert. It's just holding you back. You need to be like, the thing you should be worried about is having enough water, etc.
Those are all great points. And to throw it into D&D context, kind of where the thought train of this topic kind of stems from is twofold. First and foremost, when you're in a low economic setting, getting a gold coin is a month's worth of work, right? It's a ridiculous amount of money. And an adventure in some settings can get like 500 gold all to themselves. What are you going to do with 500 gold when people don't even have change for that 99% of the time, right? You can't spend it anywhere because it's too much money, right? You just got to give it away anyway. Another fun thing as D&D adventuring parties get wealthy and are eccentric with their wealth and kind of just throw things around, it kind of just becomes useless because you have too much of it. You have everything you need after a few levels, and now you just need magical mythical items that you can only get through combat, through adventuring, through running the stories themselves. It doesn't matter how much gold you are carrying. The troll at the other end of the bridge is not going to give over his cool little axe. You have to fight it. So those are kind of the talking points for the D&D context of gold being useless, right? Because it's not always useless. It is only useless when it is, which is silly to say, but whatever. I'll get into it. So next question. We're going to start with Carol this time. Wahaha. Carol, when you are talking to your clients, right? When do you get to that point where you're like, what you are focusing on is unimportant, right? You are focusing on something that is no longer useful for you.
That's a great question. So with clients, yes, what comes to mind is a client experience where the client was stuck in their story, and it didn't matter which way I kind of poked and prodded and asked questions. The stuckness was really, really deep. And all of a sudden, I had this download of and the download to the client was, when are you going to stop running? And that download created an instant break, an instant shift in this client. And so I knew that I was on to something new, because what I'd had and been working with wasn't working. And what I also said to this client is, you may want to consider changing your shoes. And their response was, I always wear running shoes. So, well, you may want to consider changing them. And that was the end of the conversation. They got up and they left.
Interesting. Okay.
And they came back to see me 2 months later. And they had completely shifted and changed their life. They did different things to move their life forward. And they made a point of showing me that they were no longer wearing running shoes. They were now wearing walking shoes.
Hey. Nice. Well, that's interesting. Telling them that the thing that they're holding on to is too much for them to keep their story straight. Oh, okay, I got it. We're gonna push forward. Eve, what about you? What is something when you are dealing with the transitioning of your clients' souls and getting them into the appropriate places to get them in a good spot? Where is that point where you just are like, you gotta let this go. You gotta drop what's holding you back to move forward.
Mm, mm. Um, when was that moment?
Or is it a moment for you? Is that something you focus on?
It's I mean, I wouldn't say like, let's say not a client. Like I would feel like this is more of a natural like interaction. Um, and because I don't know, there was this one time I was with one of my girlfriends, and she was having breakfast with myself one time, and then we finally met up after a long time. And she tells me that her and her partner had already broken up, and that even though they'd broken up, they still decided to be on talking terms. And then she says, and it's really good. But then I could feel her crying about the fact that they broke up. And so I just like I could see her eyes kind of going up, and I just simply told her, I'm like, why would you tear if what you wanted is actually what you're getting? You wanted to have a good connection regardless of your relationship status, and that's exactly what's happening. Why does it still make you tear? And I just all of a sudden it's like wind gone, her tears were gone, her face just turned from pink to like light, and it's she let go. She let go of feeling like I lost him to I did this to gain my power. And I felt that essence from her. So, um, yeah, I would say that's like, and that happens in different ways for me in as many interactions as I can, only because I do feel like a lot of people's pain is suffering at this point, which is really a choice. And if you just give that abundance and say, hey, you're thinking of it this way, it could be a little lighter. And it's not so much, and it's such a light mirror. Um, and I'm grateful to even have the energy that I carry, that it's accepted in a way that's like, wow, that's like, that was needed. And it doesn't take anything from me other than just feeling like a feather in that moment.
Feeling like a feather. That is quite the description. Okay. Um,
Mhm.
I'm gonna ping back on that in a minute though. But we'll push on so we'll get lost here. Amira, see I said it right this time. Ha 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 ha. What about you? When you're dealing with your clients, when especially with money, because it's hard to deal with money stuff a lot of times. When is that point where you just like tell your clients you gotta let go of this? It's killing you slowly or fastly, quickly. The word I was looking for was quickly.
A lot and often. I think there's firstly that moment where you're playing a role, and that could be the role of someone who is always broke or poor, or somebody did you in, or something like that. So firstly, you've got to learn to give up that role. But the way to do that is to start looking at things differently. So often what we spend a lot of time thinking about what we do not have, and not much time thinking about what we do have or what we have had. So I could be sitting here being miserable, going, um, well, I haven't got my $1 million, right? But yet, if I actually sit here and think about it, how blessed was I, who grew up actually in a really financially struggling family, that I came to Canada and was able to go and see all these cool things for several weeks, and then stop off and do all this other stuff. How awesome is that? And do you know what? That actually cost money. And when I think about it, I think of all the things that I didn't have when I was growing up. But then I go, hang on a second, what did I have? And then kind of create a little bit of a mind reel. So getting people to actually look at what is it that you have been fortunate enough to have, and how did money support you? And once that starts to shift and you stop thinking about all the things you don't have, it kind of frees up some energy for you to move forwards and start creating. So that's kind of how I get people to shift there. Simple shift if you actually know what your like what the plan is. But when you're so stuck in, I hate my job, I hate this, I don't like this, I haven't got this, I wish I could do that, you're not going to go anywhere until you start to let it go.
I
And then
whole
naturally things start to show up for you.
I wholeheartedly agree. This has actually been a topic of discussion between me and my oldest of figuring out that being grateful for stuff, because it's such a powerful mindset changer when you start being appreciative for the little things, because you start paying attention to them and realizing, hey, it's not so bad. There's things that suck, and we all can realize that, but there's a lot of little good things that keep things afloat. Also, hey Zeb, it's going great in here. Thanks for asking. I appreciate you.
Well, if you didn't mind me saying,
Yeah, go
just
ahead.
wanted to say when we use that word gratitude, I even stay away from using the word gratitude
Okay.
and kind of try to bypass that because people go, well, what have I got to be grateful for? And so when we just kind of bypass it and just chuck the word out, grateful, what you're doing is showing gratitude. But if we just remove the word and say it in a different way, then people aren't thinking about being grateful, which is what they're doing.
It's wonderful the power that words bring to a conversation, right? You can totally change how something is going by how you phrase stuff. A TTRPG, a scene is totally different depending on how you describe it. It could be the exact same place 100 times, but depending on who's saying what, it's a different story. Speaking of different
Exactly.
stories, younger, what about you? In your experience, where is that kind of drawing line where you tell people they need to just give it up and move on, especially when we're telling stories at the table?
It's usually along the lines of like, hey, when you're playing a game, everybody has their moments of spotlight, right? It can't be the same person's spotlight all the time. You gotta give. Some episodes, might have a special emphasis on a particular character for a little bit longer. Go into their backstory and everything, and the player who is, very forthcoming, wanting to speak the most, and like just because they have a more outgoing personality and such, wanting to insert themselves to be like, hey, calm down. You have an episode upcoming in like two deals. It's okay. Relax. Um, or it's like, hey, we already have gone over this particular part of it. We're gonna move on to the next part so we can get along with the story. Like slow progress. Every once in a while, you need a little bit of railroading in order to be like, we've stuck on this long enough. We already hit it. We can get back to it later, but we need to talk about the other things moving forward so we can actually have some progress.
I feel that wholeheartedly, and it just as a meme note, right? Something that happens in like even popular media that has been meme to death at this point. But Katara from the Last Airbender, right, talks about her dead mom a lot, and that is kind of a talking point that's kind of the thing, right? Even when she's talking to her brother at one point, right, who had the same mother, right? He literally says these lines like, "Katara, we had the same mom. Stop using her as an excuse for not doing things, right? Like we both went through this." Um, and like some players get like that where they just focus on their one little thing, even if there are other people involved with it, kind of stuff. So I feel that all the way. Um, Zeb wanted to add in here that he absolutely agrees it's important to have an ensemble and not just one main character. Sometimes some games are really good with main characters, right? If you have a great supporting cast, sometimes you can tell some fantastic stories. But generally, TTRPGs are kind of an everybody needs a fair share, right? Uh, we make a lot of jokes about when you're playing a D&D party, it's just a little communist group running around because we all get to split up the gold, we all get to split up the experience, everything gets fair. But with that, gold can kind of be useless there too, right? Because sometimes there isn't enough of it to share appropriately, right? Or sometimes someone does a lot more effort than someone else, right? And they all still get the same thing. So it kind of just becomes a whatever, take it, move on, right? And the real prizes, the real rewards are those mystical items or cool mounts that you get to run around on. Or if we're talking about attention, the story beats that people have. Oh, we lost Carol. She disappeared. Bye, Carol. We love you. Um, but kind of in those moments when we're going back to uh we're going to start with Amira here. Amira, when you are prepping your clients for the tough stuff they're going to have to go through, right? Because a lot of times going through finances can be tough. Where how do you kind of give them a soft intro, or do you kind of just throw them on the fire?
I probably once used to throw them in the fire and I've changed quite a lot. Now I kind of like to, I guess, sandwich things. So I usually go in and want to teach them something, and also acknowledge that they did the best that they could at this point, right? And we can only work with what knowledge we have. And so I'm a lot about education. So let's teach you, not just, I don't want to make people feel bad. And then I go, but we are going to have to do the work. So yes, we're going to get in there, and it's probably going to be to get a bit uncomfortable. But I also want people to notice what made them uncomfortable, because we can kind of go back afterwards and work with that. What story might you be telling yourself that's not helpful? So just making a note, putting that to the side for the time being, and then always leave people feeling uplifted at the end of it,
The
because
comp
I don't want people going off feeling crappy.
the compliment Sam, which is a powerful tool. So definitely worth using, especially for DMs. If you're using this with younger players, it is a great way to provide criticism without making them feel bad or discouraging them from moving forward. So I recommend that habit of how you give criticisms either to experienced players or to new players. It's really easy to kind of just be like, this was good, this sucked, this was good. It really does reframe a lot of stuff in positivity. Younger is a great user of this 99% of the time. It's one of his tactics when he DMs, and you can tell because he tries really hard to do it. Every once in a while, he does the compliment, criticism, compliment, but that's neither here nor there. Uh, Eve, jumping down to you. What about you when you're dealing with your friends, clients, people that you are working with? Do you kind of just jump into things, or is it a slow process where you kind of boil the frog?
Hmm. It's energy. It's
Okay.
energy. I'm really just present with the moment, and um, I'm very grounded to where they are, and so I just ask questions about them. I ask really good 3D questions, which helps when I meditate. Then I ask higher dimensional questions then too. But it's a flow. And sometimes they go like, okay, well, how about you? Maybe tell me a little bit about you, and then I'll talk about myself. Um, and then from there, it just builds up momentum. Um, like I feel that the channels open up where if deals are about to be made, collaborations are about to be signed, I think in divine timing, they come in and propose something, or I would meditate. And my theme for that day is listen. You don't have to do anything today, just listen. And it would come to me of how I can get a person to come to the retreat based on a recent interview, and kind of like make a proposal that's a win-win within collaboration that's also been business beneficial for them. um, I'd say a lot of the answers that we don't have is just not asking them, and there's a lot of answers available for us to make a move on what's next, on how to bring a people, person, client, whatever it is they're about to come. But I really just come from a place of abundance about it, and just thinking, how can I best serve this moment? And it usually comes back equally in the material world as well.
Energy is all about what you get of is what you get. So new laws or something about that conservation of energy and whatnot, and it applies to a lot more than just the physical, which is always an interesting topic to go over. I do have a follow up question though, just because I want clarification. What do you consider a 3D question?
Everything is a 3D question. So like um what are the retirement savings plan in Canada called? RRSP, like, or I mean, you're asking a 3D question right now because I'm saying it in articulation based on my experience. So this is also a 3D answer.
Okay.
A 4D question is something that's going to require your imagination, something where if you really want to know something within the unseen, it's like a higher dimensional question. If you want to understand how energy and spirit and soul works, travel, how it moves, and all those things, those are higher dimension questions.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, that's great clarification because that answers a couple other things for me. So thank you, Carol. Your turn. Do you throw people in the fire or you boil the frog when you're working with your clients? Do you kind of just jump into what needs to happen and kind of start crafting the story, chipping at the marble to get the perfect image? Or do you kind of let them smooth out the clay and build the thing they want to build and go from there?
Generally, it is, to begin with, it really is all about taking that clay and beginning to work with it, using your words, smooth it out. What I what I find working with clients really is all about coming from that place of creating what I call a radical space and radical listening space. And doing that at the very beginning when you're building the relationship of making them feel safe and secure in the space that I am holding for them. And that may take an hour, and maybe it'll take half an hour, however long it takes, because when when that happens, then I find that a deeper connection happens, and then we're able to move into what I refer to as the four whats. You know, what is right now? What if you began to look at this or search this out? And then it's, well, what really matters to you? And as that process moves, then it's, well, what works? What will sustain? And you can do that, so you were playing a game. And quite frankly, from the point of, as younger men talked about in the critique or providing feedback and criticism, you can use that as well and do that in a way that is uplifting and teachable versus coming at it from a way that will diminish someone else. So that's generally a process that I follow. And when I talk about radical listening, it really, to me, that is key, where in essence, I am totally focused on the client. And so that's putting my judgments, my thoughts, everything aside and focusing on you and only you, because I'm there as your guide and as a champion for you.
Mm,
Nice.
mhm.
All right, before I radicalize the thoughts here, younger. What about you? Where when we're dealing with players that have jumped into the middle of the game, they've just showed up. It's the middle of the story. Do you just toss them in the fire, or you kind of give them a little bit of runtime to fit in appropriately? Generally, I know there's
I like
exceptions in
to
all of
give
them, but
them. I like to give them a little bit of feedback even before they jump into the game. Be like, hey, this is where we're at in the story so far. If you have your character concept and everything, this is where I'm going to try to throw you in at. Um, sometimes it can get a little rocky because it's like, oh well, we do have to fit this piece in, and your character didn't really like, you kind of chose, it was kind of unfortunate timing, right? But you kind of want to ease them into it, unless it's like, you want their character to be able to be dropped in an appropriate manner, right? Whether that's like, hey, you find them wandering through the forest, oh, they're lost, or hey, perhaps they're already a guide, you guys are lost, you end up off the trek, and then you run into a hunter, and the hunter's like, oh, you guys are way off course from where you're saying you're going, like, let me send you right back on your path, I'll show you the way to the river, right? Introduce the character like that, uh, things of that nature, you know.
and then let them barnacle and never leave, right? Because I found you found your way out, but please take me with you. I'm tired of this forest. I need to go. But all that being said,
I was heading to Camelot. What a coincidence.
what a coinkydink. You don't like the big bad evil guy? I don't like the big bad evil guy. We can be friends. So all that being said, though, something that all of you have kind of mentioned, either passively or actively, is that it is all about the boiling the frog and being kind to the people you are giving space to, right? Radical listening, giving them the appropriate questions, whether those are 3D or 4D, or making sure that they are there's if there is criticism, that there's also compliments and understandings from where they were and where they're going and how they're doing, right? And I truly believe that all of that across the board is a very powerful DM tool, right? When you are teaching your friends or your players and going through things, being able to command those spaces and listen to what they're actually asking for and what they actually want from you as a storyteller will make or break a story. Because sometimes they just want to fight. Every once in a while, they just want to bait up goblins and call it good and move along, right? Get their cool loot and move out. But other times they need to talk about their dad and they haven't realized that they need to talk about their dad. Or whoever else that is on their mind that they need to work through without really realizing it. You know, with us as a company, we do that a lot subconsciously with how we are working with people. It's like we make a joke that we're free therapy 99% of the time. Because the stories we tell help activate those adventures, right? One of the really cool things about TTRPGs in general, because they are based on imagination, your brain can't tell the difference between when you're acting through something and when you're actually going through it for the most part. So you do get those positive experiences for just playing around, which is a wonderful power of play that doesn't get used super often. So speaking of the secret stuff that is better than gold, what's something that you guys do with your industry that is just like a super cool side effect that you just find happens, right? With ours, it's our hey, we kind of get to work through things without actually seeing it. It's kind of just a hidden benefit of doing the stuff that we do. What about for you guys when you're thinking about your stuff? What is kind of that hidden gem that is more useful than quote unquote gold? And I'll give you guys a second because all of you look like you're pondering. All right, Eve, we're gonna start with you.
No, you're gonna have to repeat that last part. What is I just want to keep
No, you're
what
good.
was it again?
So, what part of your when you're working with clients or doing your thing is that hidden gem that kind of is just an extra added bonus to doing the things that you do? So, for example, the TTRPG stuff, we get to play and have fun and work through stuff almost like you would with a therapist without it being therapy.
Mm, mm. Yeah, it's seamless. Um my my delivery to mirror is soft. I would say it's it's been it helps. It helps, yeah. And it's soft too because sometimes I notice you know, I think people don't like to be seen, but it's just an intuitive call. And because I know I'm confident that my light is soft, um, it just becomes kind of like that energy there where there's no resistance or projection or anything like that. I think is something that I'm really fortunate about. I think at the state of the conversations, it's been very welcoming, and I feel I feel heard, even though they're the ones doing the talking.
Okay, so that shared listening space, interesting. Um,
Yeah.
Amira, we're gonna jump down to you. What is your hidden gold while dealing with money? Which sometimes is actual money, I'm sure, but
It is. It is real money. Might just be on a screen, but it's real money. Um, I would say firstly that the industry I'm in is not particularly helpful in this. I think that it's actually quite a harsh, judgmental, and attempts to confuse people a lot. I would say that first off, which is why I've tried to go, I guess find ways around that because people, when you're dealing in this space, have to really uh, feel safe. Or they're not going to do what they need to because they're just too scared or too confused or overwhelmed. If I just go and ignore it, you know, what I don't know won't hurt me, which is not true. It will, especially if the debt is racking up or you're ignoring your government obligations with your business, that type of thing. But I think what a benefit is once you actually can have that conversation and start making those steps towards things, then usually you find a lot of anxiety starts to drop off somebody. They start sleeping better. One story they may have been telling themselves, they've just decided I can't do something, or it is this way, and then we have a conversation and go, actually, did you know that you could have done this? Uh, oh, no. I mean, so you're carrying around this story that is actually not helping you at all. And once you can free that up and find a way to do it, then also apart from the sleeping better, usually, your health gets better, your thinking becomes clearer, and usually your relationships start to improve as well. And when I'm working with small businesses, micro businesses, usually start to see the business grow at that point because they're
Yes.
able to actually connect with people better because they're not trying to pretend something, or yeah. You're giving off that vibe all the time. Like Eve's talking about energy. Well, it's definitely there, and you can pretend. You can go into something pretending, wanting to put this thing on for show, but people can feel desperation. They can feel something's not right, and you don't have to say a word. You could be saying quite the opposite, but people are feeling it.
Body language is a powerful language that people don't know how to read, but they know it's there. Um,
Mm.
but I think a great added benefit is the personal relationships, right? Because money is a big stressor for 90% of people, right? That's one of their biggest stresses. And if that gets relieved, things seem to get better because you're not stressed all the time. That darn cortisol, man, it's terrible.
Yes.
Carol, jumping over to you. What's one of your like hidden benefits to doing what you do? One of those things that you're just like, man, I'm really glad I do this because it achieves this from time to time.
Well, for me, in working with clients, whether it's one-on-one or in teams or business owners, really and truly, the the benefit, and the benefit for them, the benefit for me is my intuition, but as well, what I have learned over time is really and truly showing up authentically. And when I say that, what I mean is you show up or I show up as I truly am. No masks on, no barriers. This is me, and allow me to be there for you. And for example, in working with clients, sometimes in challenging situations where um, things, we're having a tough conversation, my nature is such that I have what I refer to as a weird sense of humor.
Join the club.
And
We have
in the
t-shirts.
midst of yeah, in the midst of a conversation, all of a sudden there'll be a kind of a joke that surfaces, or I will say something that's funny, and that will allow the room or the situation or an individual to relax and just be. Because if we're being somebody that we're not, nothing is really going to happen. Or if it does, it's going to magnify into something you really don't want. And so again, for me, that journey, what I refer to as the journey of the naked leader, of really truly being me, that is what I find as an absolute benefit in dealing with funny situations and dealing with challenging situations, because I'm there coming from my heart,
Solid. Okay.
not my head. My head follows my heart.
a dangerous path to run, but a effective one at times for sure.
Yes. Yes.
Run with your heart. It's likely to get hurt, but luckily in controlled environments, it's the most powerful thing to use. So jumping over to younger. What about you? What is it? What is an extra added benefit when you're doing games? We kind of talked about our free therapy as a joke, but is there anything else that you can think of when you're dealing with your players? Is just kind of like a man. This is really good that happens on the regular.
Oh, absolutely. The collective shared experience among players, where like we're all having fun. We can all make inside jokes about like, oh, remember that thing that happened like 10 sessions ago, or even the last campaign. That you can bring back with players. Way down the road. Like even me and Roger still make jokes about, oh, this thing that happened way back then. Um, and just being able to create a cohesive, fun, enjoyable experience with a group of people, both like in the real world, about like a fantasy setting. And sometimes it's like some people, they're never going to experience something in real life, right? But they can at least think about it in their head in the form of a game. If it's like, well, what if like I could, right? And if you have somebody who's like, maybe they've been injured in an accident or something, and they can't walk, but they're playing a character that can actually fly, and do things like way beyond the scope of their like mortal coil, right? Um, and just like being able to have the power of imagination to go and spread that and see the joy that comes with it. I think that's one of the coolest parts. Being able to create a story that you can share with a bunch of friends, even if you're not an author and you're not good at English.
And what I'm hearing as I've listened to everybody is as we're sharing, and the thread there is really all about sharing and creating those moments for someone else where they experience something that will help them to move forward, regardless of whether it's a game or whether you're having a challenging conversation from, with a client or as a father. It's creating those seconds or moments where there's shareable experiences and they're teachable, and it just makes the world move that much smoother or without too many bumps.
Carol, I think you're psychic because this is the second time that you've jumped my shark and got to my question before. Because we got to wrap it up, and that was a fantastic final thought. But I'm going to give you a chance to add on to it, and then tell people where they can find you and all that fun stuff one more time.
Okay. Well, this is, thank you. This has been fun, just listening to everybody and learning from everybody. So I am just so happy to have been here with you and sharing time and getting to know you a little bit more than I knew you an hour or so ago. So people can find me uh, at my website, which is carolmetzmurray.com. You can also find me at LinkedIn at Carol Metz Murray, Facebook, Carol Metz Murray, and Instagram. It's Carol Metz 2718. Don't ask me why I changed that there. I don't know. I don't remember the story. Well, see,
We understand. Trust
thank
us.
you. Yeah, it's been so fun to be here with all of you.
Fantastic. Well, we loved having you. We'll jump over to Eve really quick. Same thing. Final thoughts about the episode and handy dandy info so people can find you in the future.
This is like an incredible hangout, guys. Like, I just want to say, should have brought some popcorn. I didn't know it was gonna be like this cool. Um, yeah, this is a nice like shift of the routine, change of energy. I do feel that there's a different energy here. And so I'm grateful for it. Did you say leave a tip or what was that?
No, Eva, where can people find you, Eva, in the future if they're looking for you and be like, all
Oh,
right, we need to transcend some spiritual boundaries here. How do they get a hold of you?
yeah. So my like I said, my Instagram is akumayase, AHKUMAYASE. And then if you want to get into my website, name akumayase.com. And then there you'll see my storytelling coaching and my philosophy and the inner work that I help people do in terms of coherence because uh, Akumayase, she's we do the talk over the waters in Mexico over the cenote to use the ancient Mayan technology, and that's the same way they used to pray for rain during droughts. I utilize that same old ancient technology for us to send our prayers from our true voice and our wholeness. So that's the work that I do, and you can check that out on the website.
I was gonna say you're gonna get younger bugging you immediately after this. Look at his face; he's so excited. Amira, jumping down to you. Last but not least, final thoughts. Well, I guess I'll be last, but that's besides the point. Final thoughts on where people can find you.
Final thoughts. Really, that I think that money doesn't have to be terrifying. It is one of these things I think we probably have the worst relationship with. And I've definitely found that myself, and it's taken me a long time to move beyond that. Um, but it is possible. You just have to kind of stick with it and keep, working away at what's causing you to feel that way. Usually it's going to be from stories and, beliefs that you've, been taught when you were younger or that you were have created yourself as well. So I think, just really just keep with it. It's not out to get you. That was my biggest lesson. It's not out to get me. And I can find my way past it to find some peace. So with that, I actually created an online course called Peace with Money with a mindset expert that helps people release their subconscious beliefs that are holding them back. And I've made it so it's actually really affordable for anybody. And so one of the places you can find some free stuff as well, like personality quizzes. It's just meant to be fun. There's going to be a new ebook called I Just Want More Money. Anyway, you'll have to wait and see what's going to be in that one. I'm not giving away free money, but yeah. So you can find it at bit.ly. So it's bit.ly and then the slash and then bizymh. So you can find free resources there and also the access to that course too. So yeah, just don't give up. I guess one of the things I just, on a bit of a more serious note, one of the things is that we do find money actually destroys a lot of um, relationships and people's well-being. And I've lost family members. Um, and so that's why I guess I've been a little obsessed about it since I was a kid. And we had some very, very horrible things done in terms of money. And so that's why I've kind of been on that journey for so long to move past that. So, yeah.
Well, good. It's always good when you get past the struggle of those, right? Um, Younger. It's our turn. Do we have anything crazy that you need to announce? Things coming up, stuff like that for the handy dandy epic stages.
Oh, I was just gonna say my final thought.
Oh, fine, if you must, and then we'll talk about our stuff.
My my final thought was just like, there's a common saying, everybody says it, like money can't buy happiness, right? Like you still got to go out there, go have experiences, go meet people, go do new things. Not everything costs money. There's plenty of the world to see outside of the physical barriers that we have.
Wholeheartedly. Okay, now back to business. What's our code for the month? You remember?
No, absolutely brain dumped.
Come on,
Gone.
it's 4th of July. 4th of America, there it is. Haha. I know we have all the foreigners in here tonight. Sorry. We're celebrating the USA this month though. So it is America with a capital
Years
exclamation point.
ago, I went to Australia on the 4th of July. So
Still had fun. There's fun everywhere. Okay, so America, all caps, no, just MERICA, and I believe there's an explanation point at the end because we're excited over here. And then Monday we have, or sorry, tomorrow we have events still. So we did Friday's event today, and then tomorrow we're doing the Midsummer Makers Market again, same time, 12 to 6 if you're up here in Alaska with us. We will have some other events coming up next week. We have our Handy Dandy Monday Power Rangers session, and then Wednesday, instead of our usual D&D session, Younger is traveling and can't DM. So instead of that, we're having a fun community poker tournament, and maybe some like Jack games or something else after that. So if you're in the community and want to hang out and play games, please feel free to do so. Before we get out of here, one last thing for our guest. I need a number from all of you between 1 and 3, and that is going to help us pick our outro song. So give me a number, 1, 2, or 3.
2.
2, 3. 3. All right, you guys picked the high end one, which is actually my newest song. So prepare yourself. I curse a lot in it. Here we go.
With glitter on my shoes, confetti in the fridge, how'd that get there, who knew? Socks stuck to the ceiling fan, don't ask me how. Last night was a masterpiece, I'm cleaning up now. Dishes sing jazz when I clink them in the sink, toothbrush in my mouth as I try to think, did I kiss that mime or was it a dream? Either way, today's got a fabulous gleam. I'm really fucking snazzy, you better believe. Strut so smooth, I got tricks up my sleeve. From AM to PM, I make the mundane jazzy. Life's a cabaret, and I'm really fucking snazzy. Cafe down the block, they know my name. Double shot espresso with a side of fame. Helped an old lady win a game of chess, then moonwalked out while fixing my vest. Caught a bus mid-run, landed like a star, tipped my hat to a tourist from afar. Groceries juggled like a downtown show, bananas bowed and the apple said, whoa, I'm really fucking snazzy. I twinkle and glide, winking at pigeons as they puff up with pride. I'm a walking brass section, never low or lazy. Snap your fingers, babe, I'm really fucking snazzy. Turn the wrong corner, oh look a crew. Big tough guys with matching tattoos. One stepped up, said you lost a bolt. I said neither friend, but I love your gold. Told a joke so slick they forgot to be mad. Did a little tap dance and they all just laughed. They said you're weird, but you got some flair. I said damn right and I fixed my hair. I'm really fucking snazzy with charm to spare. I can talk down a storm or outstyle a bear. Give me jazz or give me razzle dazzle daisy. Tip your cap, my friend, I'm really fucking snazzy. And the street lights wink. Back to the club for a midnight drink. The pianist knows to play my groove. When I walk in, even statues move. Dance floor's hot, but I'm cool like gin. Spinning with strangers who all want in. Another night, another sweet disaster. I'll clean it again, just maybe not faster. Really fucking snazzy, it's kind of my brand. I turn life to jazz with the flick of my hand. From sunrise spills to midnight crazy. Don't forget the name, I'm really fucking snazzy.
That's all. We're out of here. With adventure in mind, have a wonderful time. Bye.